Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Quakes Exclusive. Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down the Quakes' 1-1 draw with the New York Red Bulls and talk about the incident that cast a shadow over the game. Plus, we'll identify keys to the game for the Quakes' upcoming match against Sporting Kansas City here at PayPal Park. Welcome inside of Studio 74 at PayPal Park. Alongside the former Earthquakes midfielder Chris Dangerfield and World Cup reporter Carlos Yustis, I'm Kylen Mills. The San Jose Earthquakes took home a point after playing the New York Red Bulls to a 1-1 draw. However, there was an incident that happened during the game that is much bigger than soccer. In the 54th minute, during a brief pause, the San Jose Earthquakes players heard a New York Red Bull player say a racial slur. That led to an 18-minute stoppage in play while officials reviewed video, talked to those involved, and tried to investigate exactly what was said. Ultimately, play resumed and the MLS launched an investigation at the conclusion of the game into exactly what was said. Quake striker Jeremy Ebobisse was at the center of this incident. Here's what he had to say in postgame about what happened.
First off, it's a difficult game. When we play Red Bull, we have a lot of respect for their style of play. I understand that there's going to be a lot of duels, and they go strong into the duels. At times, that results in late tackles on our end or on their end. That's all part of the game. What we saw tonight should not be part of the game. What started with a foul that was deemed to be committed by Judson and a yellow card. Fast forward a few minutes, seconds, ended with a racial epithet being used. I think what's important for me to share is that I know what I heard, and the reason why I felt after a lengthy conversation that we should continue on with the game is because the player who said the word claimed that it was not aimed at any of us. I think what's important is that the team was united, and whichever step we move forward with. And that goes from top to bottom, coaches to players. Yeah, everything was on the table. Again, it's an especially emotional moment because when you're on the field, you don't have the same mechanisms to deal with that kind of behavior as you would if you weren't on the field. So you have to deal with them within the confines of our sport. And the fans that are in the stadium and the infrastructure that we have, from an officiating standpoint, there was not a conversation on suspending the game, to my knowledge. I do believe that the refs went through their process of talking to the captains, talking to the coaches, trying to capture what they could capture. Ultimately, I have to take what is said to me at face value and proceed with that knowledge. But this is what it is to be, black in these situations. You can't be wrong. You can't overstep anything outside of what you know to be fact. So you have to proceed with absolute caution, even in moments of hurt where you are feeling rather powerless to handle the situation to the degree that you would like to yourself.
To be clear, there is no room for racism or intolerance of any kind in soccer or in our society. As Ebobisse mentioned, this was incredibly emotional for all of the Earthquakes players. Danger, what was your reaction to how Jeremy Ebobisse handled himself in that moment?
To start off with, I think the Earthquakes organization as a whole have been dealt with this whole situation with pure class and professionalism. There's far too much of this in the game. It's normally directed from the stadium stands into the field, as was the case recently with Inter Milan's Romelu Lukaku. But when it happens on the field, I can tell you as a former professional myself, it makes it so much worse. I think Jeremy Ebobisse, once again, has conducted himself with composure, is true to his beliefs, his professionalism came through, and you can see why he's such a leader for the team on and off the field.
Now, after Abobasi wrapped up his comments, head coach Luchi Gonzalez shared his thoughts on what happened. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate that the players and the people near the field and on the field had to experience the 20-minute moment where, I can't speak factually, but when I listen to my players in terms of what was said or not said or who it was directed to, there's things there that are unacceptable and very unfortunate and very disappointing that take precedent and more importance over the game we play. So I have to be really proud of our players to be together in solidarity, to talk, to decide, and to just obviously not accept, what they heard. We as a club, myself as the head coach, the staff, and the players, we're going to support the players. We're going to support any step moving forward that the players want to act on, and we count on the league and the referee crew as well in terms of investigating and coming down to the truth, so that there can be actions that don't make it right, that's for sure, but at least show that it's unacceptable, and the league will act on that based on our standards as a society and as being a top league, a professional league in this country. However, it could have ended, or the referees could they have done this or that, or the staffs or the clubs. I am proud that the players went through a process in their own autonomy and independence as players, having experienced what they did on the field, unfortunately, and supporting them and them making a decision together. And that was our process. Full support for Jabo, his teammates, unfortunately, to go through what they did. So fully supporting him, his teammates, these guys that had this experience today, and we'll continue to support them, and the club will continue to support them on and off the field.
Some strong words from Coach Gonzalez in support of his players. Carlos, what did you make of his comments?
Well, first of all, when you're a manager, when you're the head coach, in this case, somebody who also knows how to be a teacher, get behind his players, know that what they're telling you is in good faith and it's under convictions, and respect it and be part of that. And second, the powerful message of making sure that these incidents aside, this has no place in our sport, this has no place in society, it has no place in the world, as Luchi mentioned it. So the fact that he has to be put in that position, that the players had to be in that position, and that the club gets behind them, and hopefully it's the best outcome, and we can forever erase this from our society.
Now, shifting gears to play that happened on the field briefly. The San Jose Earthquakes decided to continue play, showing great character and resilience, and opting to continue the match and play to conclusion. It ultimately paid off, with the Quakes breaking through just a few moments after play resumed. Danger, what happened on the goal?
Well, Carlos Guerrero was subbed into the game and took his normal role as the number 6 in the organization. But I think it's important to point out before we get there that I thought Jewson subbed in for him very well in the first half, being that ball winner. And also in the first half, I thought Jackson York put one of his better performances of the season so far. But when Carlos Guerrero received the ball from Jamiro Montero, he's been watching the game. He knows with 3 at the back for New York, the space on the right-hand side, if he can get the ball quickly out to the guy who's in form right now, the match winner, Christian Espinosa, he's going to maybe set him up with a 1-versus-1 opportunity. And he does exactly that. A quick switch out to Espinosa. The first touch from Christian Espinosa is fantastic. So now he has the option of going inside or outside on the New York Red Bull defender. He chooses to cut it inside, maybe surprising the defender onto his weaker left foot. But now he's got the goalkeeper, a deer in headlights, and he can slot it in. It's a fantastic ball, number 1, from Carlos Guerrero, but it's a really, really good striker's goal by the man in form, Christian Espinosa.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, with the stoppage and the 20 minutes in hand, the Red Bulls get a break at the end, right? It's a play that gets a little disorganized on the back. You also have, everything that happened on the field, the 20 minutes in the legs, plus the emotional toll of it. And it's a really unfortunate play because it comes all the way across the box, and JT has a fantastic save, and then he's a little unlucky that the ball is being served inside the 6 into the only forward that is inside, and unfortunately they couldn't take the result, and it was a 1-1.
Up next for the San Jose Earthquakes, they host Sporting Kansas City here at PayPal Park on Saturday. KC is hungry for their first win, coming off a loss to the Colorado Rapids. Danger, how important is it that the Quakes take care of business?
Well, it's a Western Conference matchup, and the Quakes have done well in those matchups so far this season at PayPal Park. It's a team, I think, that is a dangerous team coming into town with Sporting Kansas City. They're without a win on the season, but a Peter Vermes team will always be tough. They'll shut things down defensively and try and frustrate the Earthquakes. So it's a key game because if the Quakes want to maintain their position in the playoff picture and they want to finish in that playoff picture, then winning your home games is the key, and especially those home games in the Western Conference.
Now, Sporting Kansas City has only scored 2 goals in 7 games, really struggling to produce in their attack. What has been the issue, Carlos?
Well, as you just mentioned, defensively, I think they're the middle of the pack. They've been actually very solid. They have a very good roster, but they just haven't been able to put any of their chances away. And a lot of it comes from Alan Pulido not being in shape. And I did get to talk to Alan a little bit before the beginning of the season. He's coming back from that knee injury that sidelined him for a year and a half. He even played through the pain, and that actually made it worse. So to move from having a full year off to being in your best version, it's actually one of the hardest things to do. So it's going to be little by little. He even didn't complete the game. He started his first game against Colorado. He didn't finish the game because he's still not fit. And that's also why they've been taking a toll when he tucks into the attack compared to years preview.
But, Carlos, they got other pieces as well. Daniel Charleway, and also Willie Agada. These are players that I think Peter Vermes expected to see goals from. They got 1 goal each on the season so far. And Johnny Russell is another player that normally, when you talk about Sporting Kansas City, he's getting assists, he's getting into the game. And they're just not firing at the moment. So maybe it's a good time for the Quakes to be playing Sporting Kansas City, but we say that all the time. And this could be one of those games that the Quakes have to be well prepared. I think Lucia will get them going.
A must-win for the San Jose Earthquakes coming up on Saturday. What are you watching for, Carlos, in this match against Sporting Kansas City?
Well, to maintain the defensive form, I think that's been one of the most important parts for the team. At least at home, they're being basically rock solid coming out of the back. And that's why even when you face a team like this one, where it might be hard to crack them down, they might have a lot of chances, you might need just 1 goal to make it through, and that's enough to take the 3 points at home.
And for me, Carlos, I think that, hey, I don't mind if the Quakes keep winning and Christian Espinosa scores all the goals. But, at the same time, I think it's time that Jeremy Obobisi got back on that scoring sheet. I think it's a big game for him, probably emotionally going into this game against Sporting Kansas City as well. I expect him to bounce back. Kay Cowell needs to start getting into better positions and taking his opportunities as well. I thought the midfield was excellent on the road, and so I think they need to bring that form back into PayPal Park as well.
The thing I'm watching for in this game is for the Earthquakes to score off a corner kick. They're top 4 in the MLS in corner kicks taken with 40, but have yet to score a goal. There are players who can put balls away on this team. Rodriguez, Jonathan Mensah, Jeremy Obobisi. Someone has to step up and put one of these balls away. The Earthquakes have got to try to capitalize on all the work they're doing to create these corner kick opportunities. The San Jose Earthquakes take on Sporting Kansas City right back here at PayPal Park with a 7:30 Pacific time kickoff. Now, before we go, we want to give a quick shout out to the Senior Communications Director for the San Jose Earthquakes, Jake Pisani. He is wrapping up his time here. He's been with the organization since 2015 and has done fantastic work. We so appreciate everything you do, Jake, for us, for the San Jose Earthquakes, and for the San Jose community.
We're going to miss you a lot.
Jake, I've been with you the last 8 years. You've been a consummate professional. I've loved every minute of working with you, and thanks for all you've done for the club.
A big thanks once again to Jake Pisani. That'll do it for us here from Quakes Exclusive. We'll see you next time.